All right. We're dealing with pro audio, baby. Hey, everybody. Alexander Morgan here. But we're friends, so you can call me Schmorgel. Trying it out. I don't know. What is this random studio space I'm in, you may ask? Well, it's a secret, because I'm probably not supposed to be recording in here right now, but shh.
Yeah, can I ask what the hell you're doing in here?
Nothing. But in all seriousness, I moved. I packed up all my stuff in New York.
Packing up the room. Goodbye, New York apartment. I have too much gear, I really should have sold some.
And moved to sunny California. I'm so tired. But we are in a class, and the work must continue. So, start of song 2 this week, and Andrew taught us about sampling. In fact, he tasked us to use only samples we created. Since my life this past week has been all about the big move, I decided to fill my song with the sounds of moving and the process of change. That involved a lot of tape, boxes, my last run through Central Park, some airplane noises, and a little excursion to the Grove, where I got a little distracted. I did find this toy store, and I thought that would be perfect to find some toy instrument samples. Wow, but I am not made of money. So I bought Silly Putty. Silly Putty. It oddly makes a good kick sound. Anyway, let's dive into the session, shall we? All right, so let's go ahead and start with the groove. So that's my main groove. How do we get there? For my kicks, I took a couple of different things. So this sample was me hitting that tree outside in the park, just hitting one of the branches as hard as I could and getting at least some sort of thud. That's sort of the bottom of this kick. And after transposing it down and shortening it, obviously, I got this. Just a little bit of attack more than anything. The main bulk of the kick comes from this sample right here. A little more bottom in there. This one was me hitting a box. So I obviously transposed it and shortened it to kick it up a notch. Finally, the last part of our kick. Now, I really like how kind of grungy and dirty this sounds. It gives it a little bit more texture, kind of like a little flap in there. This is our Silly Putty. It didn't work entirely how I wanted it to. I had to really get the mic close and drop it pretty close to the floor. But it wound up sounding like this. I obviously again transposed. And it sounds like that. Altogether, our 3 kicks sound like this. Not bad. I'll probably add some synthesis to give the kick some more oomph once we get to that part in the class. Next are the snares. Let's start with this first one. So this all came from me messing around with the packaging of the Silly Putty. And then that little part right there, transpose it up to get a nice little sticky, flappy hit. This is probably the main bulk of our snare here, this little pop. So this actually comes from my early attempts of throwing Silly Putty. Didn't quite have enough bassy sounds, but wound up using a tiny snip of it for our snare. You know the drill. Transpose it, shorten it, put some reverb on it. We got a snare, baby. All the while, these are being EQ'd to cut whatever frequency is not necessary, bringing some of the mids up for where we need it, cutting the lows where we don't have any frequency going on. Now this sound, this little pingy sound here, came from me hitting keys against the light post when I was running in New York. So this came from my session of hitting a moving box. You get a lot of mileage from boxes, man, I'm telling you. And between all of it, we get our whole groove. So I am putting this all through a lot of fun stuff here to get it feeling like that. Obviously, we got some reverb going on. I got a Valhalla plate. Putting it through this amp to have a little bit of gain and getting just a little bit more presence out of the whole thing. Obviously, some EQ to cut some of that iPhone static at the top, just a little bit to get rid of some of that noise we don't really need. And obviously, some compression. I decided for the top of this to do a little bit of a EQ filter thing. Slowly raising all this and then popping it off when the groove kicks in. All right, moving on to percussion. See, that sounds like just a good old shaker to me, but I don't even remember what this is. Let's find out. Ah, yes, I was shaking leaves. Just shaking some leaves, making shakers. And then over here, I believe I know what this little clicky thing is. It should be this tape. Oh no, it's my keys. This was also outside. I was jangling keys in my pocket. Got a little clippy sounds. Again, similar process of transposing all of these. I put this band on the EQ here because there was just so much outside noise. I really just needed those clicks. Those all sound like this. All right, now on the hi-hats. Now we're in some tape land. I'm almost positive of this. Oh, yeah. Check out that tape. There's probably a lot more I could use with that, honestly. I like this sound a lot. More tape. You can get a lot out of moving boxes and tape, guys. And all those together sound like this. Just a little hi-hat shaker sensibility. Moving on to... Oh man, this beep. I love this beep. This thing, I can't believe I actually ended up using. I took a popular bird scooter to get to the Grove, and I've heard the Bings before and I wanted to sample that. This particular scooter didn't have a very powerful tone, but somehow I was able to use it. Let's take a listen to where I got to first. Now how do we get there? I cut exactly the beep out of a loud street in Los Angeles and just got this. If we extend this here, you hear all that noise? So I popped that in, threw a compressor on it, and did this EQ. There was no real method to my madness here. I honestly was just moving bands around until I could find the right feel. And I was just able to isolate most of it just from that. So I actually transposed these down twice. One to make it just an octave lower. It's still pretty high. And then an octave even lower than that for the second hit. Originally, it was dang high. I mean, that's what we had. So after isolating that sound and getting the EQ right, I threw some overdrive on there, an echo, and put it through a reverb bus that I'm using for a couple of different things. And we got this. And then the lower one. Fun. Next up is bass. So I definitely wanted to use the room tone of the plane, but didn't quite work as a long sample. It just was too noisy. There was not enough tone to really make a sound. So here's what the plane audio sounded like unedited. Pretty dang loud, right? So when messing with the sound, I tried a whole bunch of different things with using as much of the clip as possible, and often would just still get this. Like there's a little pitch there, right? But hardly. So I decided to just take the smallest little sort of random wave here. I don't even know what you would call this. It's almost like, it just looks like a random kind of sound wave. So through that and some bass amp, a little bit of gain, crank at the bass, an EQ here, and a compressor, it finally sounds like this. Not the cleanest sound, but at least we get some crunch and a little bit of tone there. So we're technically using the sample to make this sound. It's just not very much of the sample. Then I recorded some guitar. I sort of wanted this to be like a 15-step by Radiohead vibe. So I got a super jangly guitar tone and layered it over this 5/4 beat. We're already halfway there. Pretty standard stuff. I just wrote the part after sitting down with the groove for a little while. I used a plugin called Amplitude for the guitar sound, which for some reason is not enabling right now. But after tracking it, it sounds like this. This is the main part for the next section. Needed to lift it up more, so I added this part. Together they sound like this. And that was it. Had my guitar parts. Quick programming note, my schedule is going to be a little nutso as I settle in. I'll be putting up videos as soon as I can, they just might not be on time. I'll certainly be getting those updates from the class up, and I should be able to show you the final version of Song 1 in just a few days. With that said, I would love for you to keep up with me, and the best way to do that is to subscribe. My head should be popping up right here around my solar plexus. Click that, subscribe to the channel, give the video a like if you dig what you're seeing. Leave a comment if you have any suggestions or ideas for what I could do on the off days. And find these other videos right here and share with your friends. Probably blocking my face right now. Click them. Click them, help, click them. Anyway, see you later.